Alright, so in 2018 I made a video called Vagina is Offensive Now. This is the remake of that. Well, not so much, just including new information that is very recent despite the fact that it started in 2018. And then I'll re-edit the original video at the end of this one, okay? Yeah, lucky you all. It's another old video by Matt's FTR being brought back to modern day because I want more views. So, here's yet another story that has come out of Canada. Yeah. Originally, the front hole thing was in France, I think. I forgot. I didn't even rewatch my own video before filming this. Anyway, the Canadian Cancer Society, of course, who cares about science? Just let's apologize for this shit instead of dealing with, cancer. Apologizes for not calling the cervix a front hole in non-binary disclaimer. And of course, this man's face is right on the bat, and oh look, everybody who works there is a woman. What a shock. Because men aren't allowed to be employed anymore. Okay. On a webpage dedicated to cervical cancer, this right here means that they shouldn't be apologizing, but then again, we don't live in Earth anymore. The Canadian Cancer Society is apologizing for referring to the cervix by its technical name. I love that. I love how they actually admit this is the technical word. They're admitting. Fuck this camera. They're apologizing for not doing things incorrectly. Cool. Rather than in euphemisms such as front hole. Why not? The agency also conceded that men can have these body parts too, except that we can't. Trans, non-binary, and gender-diverse people face significant barriers to accessing health care and are less likely than cisgender people to be screened for cancer. How much... I am not in the mood to check because I just don't give a fuck, but how much do you want to bet that that's simply not true? And the reason why they're even claiming that any stat even would say that trans people are less likely to be screened for cancer is not because they actually are, but because there's simply less trans people than there are everyone else, and therefore the numbers would simply be lower because there's less overall people. It's not just because they're trans that they're not being screened, it's because there's less trans people than there are non-trans people. I'm willing to bet anything that that's what the stat says. Not going to bother checking, but I'm almost... Listen, I've been doing this for like 15 years, okay? And I've been wrong like, what, twice? Come on. Just... You can rely on me at this point. Yes, I know I was actually wrong recently with the romance is offensive thing, but that's a rarity. Wrote the Canadian Cancer Society in a page on cervical cancer screening for LGBT. In a Words Matter section on the organization's official website, the society atoned for the fact that some non-binary and transgender people might find the term cervix offensive. Okay. And preferred to use the term front hole to refer to the female genitalia. Okay, I have a question for the, 2 women who watch my videos, maybe even less. It may actually just be 1. But for any women who are watching this video, please answer this question so that people commenting can see your answer. Do you feel more offended or less offended that your vagina is being called a front hole? Or do you feel exactly the same? Let me know so that other people can see your answer. And I'm going to make a classic Matt's FTR prediction. You're probably more offended by the term front hole. Don't answer based on me. I'm just guessing that if you are a sane woman, you are more offended by front hole, not less. Okay. We recognize that many trans men and non-binary people may have mixed feelings about or feel distance from words like cervix. You may prefer other words, such as front hole. We recognize the limitations of the words we've used while also acknowledging the need for simplicity, the Canadian Cancer Society wrote. Oh, God. True North reached out to the society for comment but did not receive a response. Whoa, what a shock. Women's rights activists argue that the terminology is both objectifying and derogatory. Told you. Although, this... you're kind of making it look bad when you say women's rights activists, because obviously all women's rights activists are crazy, and if they're against it, then it makes smart people look as stupid as they are. It's not just women's rights activists, it's also just any person with a brain who understands science. But whatever, I'll let it go, I guess. British gender critical writer Julie Burchill accused LGBT activists of erasing women by adopting the terms. Yeah, but I mean, this also applies to everything, right? It's not just that. Anyway, both bonus hole, bonus hole. Bonus hole! Holy fuck, that is amazingly bad. Trans ideologies have long tried to erase or appropriate any word that is specific to females. Okay, there we go. I knew that there's no way a feminist could say something smart without saying something stupid immediately after, and thankfully they did. Yes, because the only words that SJWs fuck with are words directed to women. That's it. I mean, it's not like they changed every other word on the entire planet, including everything that involves men, including racism, sexism, right? You know, they've changed every word, not just female words. From woman to mother and now vagina, and they have gained a foothold in our schools and in our media. Now, gynecological health providers are swallowing the stupid pills. Yeah, they're just doing that now. Here we go again with the people who are like, oh, look at these big changes that we in society that we just see right now because this totally didn't start 12 years ago. This is why I hate being smart, because I have to be like, oh my god, I'm living in a fucking time warp where people are just learning what I learned when I was 12 years ago. I was 22, so when I was 22. Okay, the term front hole and bonus hole, I can't get over that one, have been popularized by the Rainbow Mafia activists as a replacement for the biological and correct term vagina. In 2022, controversy erupted after the Boston Children's Hospital used the term. Other organizations dedicated to women's health have also adopted the offensive term. A transgender male teen may still have a vagina. Incorrect. He won't call it a vagina. He may use the term front hole or a different term. But why? Okay, I have a question. Like, if you're trans, okay, I'm talking about real trans people, not the plus people. I'm talking about the real medically diagnosed trans people who have gender dysphoria. Okay, for you only, because I'm done talking to psychopaths. Okay, so the following criteria: 1, you are a real trans person. 2, you actually have gender dysphoria. 3, you're a man becoming a woman, because that's kind of the whole point of this. And you have sliced off your penis and had surgery to turn it into a vagina. The whole purpose of your transition, to my knowledge, is that you want to be a woman, right? That's kind of the whole point. You want to be a woman. So if what you desire is to be and live as a woman, then why the fuck would you not want to call it a vagina? Like, I do understand that it's not a technical biological vagina. I do get that. You don't have a uterus, you don't have a cervix. And the vagina was your old penis being, like, turned into one. I've seen how the operations are done, and they're pretty gross. Point is, though, whether if it's a biological vagina or a surgical vagina is irrelevant. As a person who wants to live as a woman, would you not want to call it a vagina even if it's not a real one? Just saying, if I was trans and I wanted to live as a woman, I may not have a biologically growing vagina, but I'd still want to call it one. Because that's kind of the whole fucking purpose. Fucking hell, like, I just can't. Oh, that was the end of the article, okay. Anyway, okay, you're now gonna see an edited version of the old Offensive Now video. Have a good night. Goodbye. Fuck SJWs. Fuck Justin Trudeau. Fuck Joe Biden. Fuck California. Fuck New York. Fuck everything else in the world. Okay, bye. Healthline says using the medical term vagina is not gender inclusive language. Use front hole instead.
What do you what do you want? Do you want me to be surprised at this point? Like, what? First of all, before we even read the article itself, the title admits it's a medical term, so we're not just ignoring science, but we're admitting we're ignoring science. Also, front hole is just dumb because men also have a hole at the end of their dick, so what, we both have a front hole now? It's imperative for safe sex guides to become more inclusive of the LGBTQIA and non-binary people. No, it's not. Because non-binary doesn't exist. And this guide is from Healthline, like, this is apparently a credible health source. Bullshit. Healthline has claimed health disparities and higher rates of HIV and STIs observed in the LGBTQIA communities are due to discrimination in the sex ed world. No, it's not! Of course, you know, if there's a lot of, you know, sex diseases and STIs fucking within the LGBT, every letter of the alphabet community, no, it's not because of what I'm about to tell you. It's because, oh, normal people like us, we discriminate against you. Because remember, LGBT community, that goes on and on and on, they actually said that if a woman, you know, transitions to a man or vice versa, the opposite gender actually has to be attracted to them or else it's discrimination. We're forced to now because they were saying that personal preference is not allowed anymore. So, but anyway, now let's get into the reality here. The reason why STIs are on the rise is because, much like in California, it's no longer a crime there to tell your partner that you have one. Just saying, it's your fault, like everything else. So the California-based health information, of course, it's in California. Of course it is. Provider has adopted the gender-inclusive term front hole and placed the medical term of vagina in their latest LGBTQIA safe sex guide. And also, please explain to me how using the term front hole or not using the term front hole is the cause of STIs. Like, what? For the purpose of this guide, we'll refer to the vagina as the front hole instead of solely using the medical term vagina. Yeah, because why be specific? You know, if you're going to be talking about men and women in your article to try and dissuade the stats of STIs, why would you want to talk about science? I mean, that's so fucking insane. Using science and biology to teach people about biology? Now, why in the ever-living fuck would any human being want to do that? Oh, every reason. The document explains this is gender-inclusive language that's considerate of the fact that some trans people don't identify with the labels the medical community attaches to their genitals. Do you know how bad this is? I actually work in the health field, so I'm going to tell you how bad this is. Not logic-wise or common sense or in any form of science. Well, it is, but in a literal sense. Let's say you're going to a hospital, okay, and you need to get some kind of operation or you need to get some type of medication. Different medications affect men and women differently. So if you're a woman saying you identify as a man and you want to be, you know, considered as such or vice versa, you can be badly affecting your body by taking a medication that is not correct for your gender just because you don't want the doctor to discriminate against you, which is actually just telling the facts about your body, but you call it discrimination. But you know what? I don't even care. I want these people. I want a woman who's dressed up as a man to go to the hospital and get a medication that's meant for men and fuck up your body because it's your goddamn fault. And then watch the woman's body get all fucked up because she took a male, you know, a medication meant for men, and then she'll fucking sue the hospital for it, even though it's entirely her fault. For example, some trans and non-binary identified people assigned female at birth may enjoy being the receptors of penetrative sex, but experience gender dysphoria when that part of their body is referred to using a word that society and professional communities often associate with femaleness, or just being a female. An alternative that's becoming increasingly popular in trans and queer communities is front hole. Yeah, because, like I said, all forms of science, all forms of biology, fuck it, who cares? We don't need it. The document went on to claim lack of representation and anti-LGBTQIA bias in standard safe sex guides, stigmatizes certain sexual behaviors and identities, and is directly related to higher rates of HIV and STI reported within the community. No, it's not. The reason is, and this is from California, so I really shouldn't be surprised. I mentioned California before I read that, too. It's because it's not a crime there anymore. Of course not. This is a state that puts more importance on plastic straws than telling your partner, I have AIDS. What else can I possibly say? Oh, for the people watching this who don't know about the plastic straw thing, something about wasting less plastic, so they forced Starbucks to serve, paper-ish straws, or no straws at all or something. And then these morons were actually, selling the straws, but in a plastic package, which completely erased the fucking point. This is the state we're talking about. This is California. Can we nuke this state? I mean, I'm not even fucking joking. Can we please nuke California? Anyway, I can't read any further into this because I'm gonna puke. Do not ever use the term front hole because it's pointless, because it does not do anything that they're trying to do. It is completely counterproductive. It is against all forms of science and biology. And it's also pointless because men have a front hole at the end of their dick, too. Oh, God, I'd like to put a front hole in your chest with a gun bullet.